What up, YouTube? It's your boy Detroit Love with another video. Today we're going to talk about pinball and my history, my journey. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video. You will learn a thing or two about my personal journey with digital pinball, and I will have a tip at the end to help you along your own journey if you choose to partake. Let's get it started. My name is Detroit Love, and boy, have I enjoyed playing digital pinball for the last year. Today I'm going to share with you some of my personal journey with digital pinball. Now, I'm no expert in digital pinball, but I've figured out a few things along the way, and I've gotten to a point where I can walk up to my cabinet and play nearly 200 digital pinball tables if I choose. But the reality is, I only ever really play just a handful of my favorites. In this video, you will learn some of the key takeaways to help you decide if digital pinball is for you. And I'll provide you some options and direction if you are interested in starting your own digital pinball journey. Now, I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. I never really played a whole lot of pinball growing up. I've always liked pinball, and I've always been fascinated with pinball. I just didn't have the income to invest time into playing pinball. Now, the beauty of digital pinball is that the same benefit that Arcade1Up has made available by bringing back the classic arcade cabinets, digital pinball allows you to play until your heart's content without feeding quarters into it. And you can play multiple tables on one cabinet. It's really awesome. A few years ago, I started looking into digital pinball and I was just blown away by it. Since I hadn't had a whole lot of experience with real pinball, I was I wasn't burdened with the pain of comparing the two together and being displeased with their differences. I came across this video that compared the virtual or digital pinball version of Circus Volare against a real pinball table, and I liked what I saw. So my journey began at that point. I started looking for digital pinball tables that I could purchase or maybe a DIY kit to build my own. What I found was that digital pinball was expensive. It was expensive to purchase, and it was a labor intensive as well as an expensive endeavor to build my own. And so why I desired to have a digital pinball, it didn't appear that it would be in my immediate future. So I put it off for a few years, and then in 2019, as the end of the year approached, something changed everything.
It's Digital Pinball, a real arcade gameplay experience with 3D technology and realistic features that bring the arcade right into your home. You and your friends will have hours of arcade entertainment. Its solid construction and arcade features are a great addition to every home. Kids, parents, and even grandparents can play. With multiple game options in every model, you can play hit games like Haunted House, Black Hole, Bone Busters, and more. Get your digital pinball machine today by Toyshock.
It has been nearly 1 year since Toyshock introduced to us an affordable solution to digital pinball. That's right, November 4th, 2019 is when Toyshock uploaded their video on YouTube. Their video of the $399.96 Haunted House digital pinball machine with 12 Gottlieb titles showed us little kids playing pinball with their grandpa, and many of us ran to the store to buy it. Well, we didn't run to the store. We actually ran to our computers to find out more about it because you could only buy it at Walmart.com. I wasn't immediately sold on the idea. Yes, it was affordable, but it was a three-quarter scale pinball table. And I wasn't familiar with any three-quarter scale pinball tables. So, in order for me to see and determine if it was appropriate for me, I took my old Arcade1Up boxes and I used the measurements provided by Toyshock on their website to construct a life-size mock-up of the pinball cabinet. When I was done, I was quite satisfied, and I placed my pre-order for the Toyshock digital pinball table on November 20th, 2019 for a grand total of $423.96. And it was delivered to me on Thursday, December 5th, 2019. The awesome thing about it is that it had a return window that would expire on Monday, March 9th, 2020. So that gave me ample enough time to examine this to see if it was a keeper as it was or whether it could be modded. And so my journey had begun. Since the Toy Shock was only available online, it had to be delivered. With other companies having issues with cabinets being damaged during transit, I was worried that it would be damaged upon arrival. It wasn't. Not even the tempered glass has suffered on the journey. The glass was intact. So now that I had the Toy Shock digital pinball cabinet in my possession, I began examining whether I would keep it as it was or whether I would mod it. I was quite impressed with the quality of the cabinet. It featured a 24-inch playfield display, had stereo speakers, built-in volume control, variable brightness control. It would keep the high scores. It had on-screen instructions and objectives. It had multiplayer mode up to 4 players and even physical buttons for nudging the table. It measured 21.36 inches long, 18 inches tall, that's the cabinet portion, and 33.7 high from the floor to the top of the back glass. It weighed 66 pounds, and again, it had the real tempered glass over the playfield. This, to me, was very significant and important for a pinball table. For it to be so different than the real thing, having that glass top, it just was the icing on the cake. Now, some people complained of lost high scores and flipper lag, but I never experienced that. Now that I had it and I've pondered my decision on whether to keep it or whether to mod it, the only way that I can determine that is to open it up and dissect it. And I did just that. Opening up this digital pinball cabinet wasn't really scary because I had dealt with technology all my life. I was concerned, however, that I would mess it up and not be able to return it to Walmart if needed. My objective was to determine what the components inside were and what would be needed in order to transform this limited digital cabinet featuring just 12 games into a digital cabinet with unlimited potential. If I was to use the 24-inch playfield, I would have to determine which video controller board was needed for this particular cabinet. So I contacted my Chinese distributor that had assisted me with so many mods of the Arcade1Up cabinets, and they were able to find the appropriate video controller board for me. With this knowledge in hand, I only had one huge hurdle to overcome, and that was preparing the PC to go from running standard spreadsheets and documentation programs to running the digital pinball software. While there are many videos on YouTube and countless websites and even Facebook groups that provide information for configuring the software, I have honestly forgotten more than I will ever remember about setting up this software. It's not that it's complex. Well, it is complex, but it's simple if you just simply follow the directions. Now, I had a goal in mind, and one of the goals is I had to have the plunger working. If the plunger was not going to work, I didn't want to go further or go ahead with modding this. That was very essential to me. Now these little things start to add up. I love to have tempered glass on top and not, any plexi on top of the table. And the plunger, those two things together is what you feel when you play pinball, aside from the the flippers, the buttons for the flippers. Those are the things that you come in contact with. Um, that that's just part of the experience. So that was very important that I have that plunger along with the tempered glass. I learned a lot about digital pinball and how finicky the software could be, how nearly every table had to be tweaked to display and operate properly. I can easily see why those that have put hours and hours into setting up hundreds and even thousands of tables want to recoup their efforts with a costly solution, and also why companies have chosen to include a smaller number of tables to support in each cabinet. I spent hours working on the software on my deconstructed PC. I was able to get a few tables working and learned how to install and troubleshoot new tables as I added them. The PC was now ready to go inside the cabinet, but there were still some components I would need. Armed with the knowledge of what was necessary for this project, I took a trip to the local Salvation Army store and was able to find some essential parts that would keep the cost down on this mod. I found a 19-inch Dell monitor for $11, some awesome $3 speakers, and a very affordable power strip. I had that PC laying around, but I needed a better graphics card. And unfortunately, the better graphics card needed an upgraded power supply to power it. I also added some additional buttons on the front panel, and once all those things were obtained, one thing was very important to me, and that was to get all of the components inside of the cabinet. Now, as I was doing research, I found that a lot of people built this nice cabinet, but then they just set the computer on a stand or on the floor behind it or under it. Um, and so to me, that just took away from the atmosphere of the device, of the it just didn't feel authentic, uh, if it if I had this computer next to it, right? I want the illusion that I'm not using the computer. I'm using, you know, uh, I have this cabinet that's self-contained and has all the elements to make these hundreds of games, hundreds of tables play. So that was the third thing, I guess, at this point in time that was important to me. Important to have that plunger, important to have that glass tempered um, playfield cover, and it was important that all the components go inside. Now this is a small cabinet, and these are some big components compared to what size I had to work with. But I was able to get it all inside, and with the fans, I was able to keep everything cool. So I was very proud of myself. And so now what was left is to give this table an identity. See, I had limited experience with pinballs growing up, so I didn't really have anything that really resonated with me. That brought this nostalgic um, memory back to me. It's like I didn't see any of the titles that were included. Any of the titles that most of the titles that I've downloaded, none of them really appealed to me. So I had to go through the library of tables that I had installed and said which one would make the best um, table to have the outward appearance, the presentation, the design, what people would see when they walked up to this multi-cade, right? Because this is a multi-cade of pinball tables. Uh, and so I have finally found something I will be happy with that will bring back childhood memories, fond childhood memories. And so that was how I decided what the cabinet would look like. So while my graphics were on order and I was waiting them to arrive, I was keeping an eye on Bobby Vu's project. We both were modifying the Toyshock cabinet, the same machine, except we were going in totally different directions. Bobby Vu floated his back glass off of the main cabinet to allow a 32-inch playfield, and that made a world of difference. I stuck with the 24-inch playfield while he sported a 32-inch playfield. I went with the 1080p. He featured a 4K display. What was important to me was to have the plunger and have it functional. He went with a launch ball button. And his speakers and his computer both reside outside of the cabinet, while everything in my cabinet went inside. So it's the same product, same end result. They both can play the same games, but presentation is on a different level. So I went with Spider-Man, my childhood hero, Spidey. And he was a nerd or a brainiac or smart kid, teenager, the most human of superheroes that I can recall. I've always could relate to Spider-Man. I've always was considered a brainy kid in school. I didn't have any superpowers, but I enjoy technology. And while I don't have the same design skill set as Bobby Vu, I think I did an incredible job with this cabinet. So we were both going after our passions, putting together a cabinet that we can enjoy, that we can play as many games as our hearts could desire and our willingness to configure. Now Bobby had some help. He had some friends with, some resources. I had to do everything by scratch, everything from on my own here. and I'm pretty impressed with the outcome. I enjoy this cabinet, enjoy this a lot. But now, while we were working on these cabinets, a little bird leaked out some information regarding Pinball by Arcade1Up. Attack from Mars, Star Wars were leaked, and CES was just in a few days, and all of the crew went out to Vegas for CES. CoolToy and P Dubs, Retro Ralph and Justin, they all went out and had a look at this. Now these are prototypes; they're not production units yet. A few people got to play, others didn't. One thing you may have noticed from all the videos out there was always a tech guy somewhere not too far to make sure that these things were running at least at a point where, those there to cover the news would either get a chance to play it or get a chance to actually see it. So Arcade One Up went with a recessed 24-inch playfield, so the same size as Toy Shock, but just presented in a different way. Instead of the big, huge bezel, their bezel sort of went down, bent down. You see how that looks there? And so, interesting way to do it. Now, they went with a plexiglass top. I don't like that. I mean, it could be a thick enough one where it doesn't really matter, but I just love the glass. No chance of it getting scratched, without some great effort. Um, but here's the bottom line. There are some different types of pinball cabinets that are coming to market. Arcade One Up, Well Played, AtGames. All these guys, sort of like Bobby and I, both presenting a package that could go and will go in different directions to a degree. And so while I'm going to enjoy my cabinet just as much as Bobby's going to enjoy his, we went with what was important to us. And that's the same thing that you're going to have to do with your decision making process. Which of these companies have those feature sets, those conveniences, those necessities that you require from a digital pinball solution? You have to decide which route that you're going to go. So let's talk about the AtGames pinball. It's a Q4 2020 release. It's approximately 90% scale, so larger than the other competitors. The number of games is 22, though that's expandable. 32-inch. So just like Bobby Voo, they going big. 32-inch LCD monitor as the playfield. That's 1080p. On the back glass, there's going to be a 14-inch color LCD monitor. That's where your DMD is going to display. You're going to have nudge and tilt features, haptic feedback, physical plunger, adjustable legs. But the key for AtGames, similar to the Legends Ultimate cabinet, is the bring your own game feature. I think that's going to be the most significant thing for this particular offering. Now, clearly, the 22 games is going to be the Gottlieb collection. So, unlike the 12 that comes with the Toyshock, it's going to expand on that and include 22 built in tables. Now, those tables are going to differ vastly from the Arcade1Up and Well Played offerings. But again, to be able to hook up your PC or other pinball games via the bring your own game feature is going to be the deciding factor, I think, for most people. Because the reality of it is, with the other solutions, you're buying just those set of games, those set of tables. But I told you if you stuck around, that I will be providing something for you that's going to help you with your journey. The most significant thing this fall is that COVID has changed everything. That's why everything is delayed. And I remember earlier in the year when Twisted Gaming TV, he talked about the uh, the pandemic and said, and he asked a question, will it cause delays? That was back in March 19th of this year. We all know now that yes, the shutdown, the increased production of other essential products, a lot of it coming out of China, the demand for more hardware, computers and laptops for people to work at home and kids to work at home for their schooling. The demands for technology has been off the roof. And so, yes, the pandemic has contributed to delays in just things getting produced, things getting shipped, things getting received, things getting delivered. Has been a bottleneck. So here's the reality of it. Here's the key thing you have to get out of this video. And that is, if you want a digital pinball cabinet, you have to act fast. No matter which product you think is the best for you and what you want, and that checks off all the boxes that you desire to have, it is crucial that when pre sales come available for either one, all of the above, whatever the case, if you want to have a digital pinball in your possession this year or the beginning of next year, you have got to act immediately. There will not be enough supply for the demand. The demand has been pent up. The same way people have been pent up in their homes, not able to go out and socialize and do all the things they want. The demand for pinball has been pent up as well. And it's can't wait to get free, to get loose, and get to playing. And so if you desire to play some pinball this year, you better act fast. And you may and the cabinet that you decide to get may simply be the one that's available. That's the reality of it. Now, the good thing about this pent up demand is that if you buy two cabinets because you're not sure which one you're going to get, your ability to get rid of that cabinet is most likely going to be pretty high and at the same price or even higher. So um, expect that scalpers may grab these things and even bring up the price even more on them. But do not hesitate. The same way I saw that Toyshock come available, I had to make a decision. Do I get on the pre-order? Because if I waited to, they were the regular, listings in the store or online, it just wasn't going to be available. And that was then. Now, all of those things are amplified. So that's the bonus information you got to get from this video. If you want a pinball cabinet this holiday, you better act immediately. When it comes available, pre-sales, you got to buy then. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting behind your keyboard looking at videos of everybody else playing with their digital pinball. And I'll tell you again, I love my cabinets. I love my Golden Tee. I love my Galaga and and all of my cabinets. But that pinball, to me, has the most value with the best range of game, tables to play. Um, there's enough variety on that cabinet to make it so enjoyable. I hadn't even I hadn't even played a fraction of the tables that are available. The ones I do play, I love playing. And I'll slowly venture out into the unknown and try some of the older tables and some of the newer tables and um but here's the other side of the coin. Even if you bought any of the tables that will be made available quarter Q4 or Q1 of 2021, if you think that those cabinets are not sufficient and you want to mod it, any one of those cabinets at the price that they're set at will still be a steal if you gut it for most of the internals and put your own stuff in. You still will be well below the cost of any other virtual pinball or digital pinball solution. So that's the way I did it. I bought the Toyshock. I enjoyed it. I worked on my PC on a tabletop using some other monitors, and I got the software ready for production. And so I was still able to play pinball. You don't want to take anything apart until you're ready to implement it. Um, so that's the great thing about it. Play whatever you buy, play it, enjoy it, love it. If you decide to mod it, get your PC ready on the side and get it geared up uh, and configured, and then you make the switch. But um, do not hesitate. That's the takeaway. All right, guys, so I am going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do me a favor. Please subscribe. Hit the button. Takes a few seconds. It helps me out. I look at my statistics. You guys come and watch and you love it, the content, but only 25% of you are subscribers. What's wrong with you, the other 75%? Come on, guys, just hit that button. Do me a favor. I appreciate it. Also, comment below. Are you going to get a cabinet? Which cabinet put checks off your boxes? Which cabinet has the right features that you want? Are you going to get one? Are you going to get two? So you can decide and then send one back or sell the other one. What are your plans? Do you plan to get one this year? And are your ducks in a row for it to happen? Like the video, subscribe, comment below. Thank you guys. And until next time, I'll see you on the web.